Mr. Chairman, appreciate each one of you being here. I guess, Mr. Woodall, you and I think probably engaged in a discussion at a previous appearance you made in front of this committee talking about some of the downstream effects of the listing of AIG and Prudential and MetLife. So that's going to have an effect on the insurance market itself, will it not, if I remember from our previous discussion?
Yes.
So we in the U.S. enjoy competitive advantage throughout much of the world, and coming from the business world, specifically repairing oil wells downhole, which is filled with liability, we utilize that insurance market to great advantage to allow us to create jobs, to do a better competitive effort than some of our friends overseas could do. And so will there be downstream effects from any actions you all take regarding the too big to fail? Will there be effects in the insurance market?
Well, yes. I mean, you use terminology, but obviously, if someone has increased regulatory expenses, it's going to affect how they operate in the market.
So there's a possible threat from what you all do to the market. Mr. Matsai, have you all discussed that in the FSOC meetings?
I guess, Congressman, I wouldn't characterize it that way. I would point out, for example, that we can protect people when we consider AIG, for example. This government had to commit $182 billion to prevent the collapse of that company, which would have probably taken us into a worse Great Depression than what we had in the 1930s. Fortunately, we were able to get all that money back.
What about MetLife?
Congressman, with all due respect, I was not there for the prudential designation. With respect to MetLife, that is a matter under litigation. So I don't think it's appropriate to comment on the reasons for it.
Just why would you have a comment on that? In other words, you all as FSOC, your underlying call is to prevent excessive risk to the U.S. financial system. And what I'm saying is that there are financial risks to what you all are doing, to the actions you all are taking. So, Ms. White, did you all discuss the potential downside of what you're doing here and how it might affect the market? And you've heard the guy that made his living regulating insurance and living in the insurance, and sometimes staff have not had that on-the-ground experience. So regardless of what anybody else says, do you all sit quietly behind the doors and say, hey, we got to really take a close look at what we're doing?
Well, I think we have to carry out the mandate that we were given, which is basically to identify and address systemic risk to the financial system. I mean, that's the financial stability of the financial system.
But you don't ever think that you all, as the government, you don't think that you as an agency could be the systemic risk yourself?
Well, I mean, I think you want to consider all factors, and certainly when we do our rulemakings at the SEC, we directly consider, all of the impacts. But I think in terms of, I think we do consider and discuss factors, a wide range in FSOC too, but, our primary responsibility is to carry out the mandate we were given to.
Well, the mandate is to watch, excuse me, I keep shifting back. Well, the mandate is to watch for systemic risk, is that right?
It's to identify and address systemic risk to the overall.
And so I'm saying that if you all, according to Mr. Woodall's discussion back some time and kind of reiterating now, you all could be the systemic risk that you're trying to avoid if you're not very careful, because this insurance market is extraordinarily thin. If you're watching, I don't mean to be rolling in other stuff, but if you're watching people bail out of the insurance market in healthcare right now, you understand what that I'm talking about. We have disrupted an entire insurance market, and before you all do something that causes the same evacuation out of the insurance, just remember the poor saps out there in the field like myself who are just trying to buy insurance off the open market to where we can do our business, and it could be that you all are the problem that causes that market to disappear. And that's my point. I would hope that you all would have more thorough discussions about the problem that you all represent instead of the systemic risk that maybe you ought to be identifying out somewhere else. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Chairman yields back. Chair wishes to alert all members that there is currently one procedural vote on the floor. There are 11 minutes remaining in that vote. I will recognize the gentlelady from Missouri. Members may want to go vote and come back. And then after the gentlelady from Missouri, we will